Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center here at the University of New Haven. I'm Mike McGuire and this is Pitch Perfect. Welcome to Pitch Perfect. This is a place for you to pitch your new business idea, get feedback, and feel what it's like to be on the spot. At Pitch Perfect, we invite students from all over Connecticut to stand on the spot and pitch their business ideas to a panel of expert judges. After each pitch, our judges will decide if you and your pitch have what it takes to make it through to the next round. And if you do, then we'll help you refine your pitch before returning to the spot to pitch again for a chance to compete in our pitch-off at the end of the season, battling it out for an all-expense-paid trip to a nationally recognized entrepreneurship conference. Today, we have two contestants, and only one will move on to the next round. Now, let's meet our panel of judges. First is Daryl Singletary, former officer in the United States Coast Guard and director of the MBA program here at the University of New Haven. Welcome, Daryl. Our next judge is Ron Kunze. Ron is a professor of marketing and the director of the Nonprofit Institute here at the University of New Haven. And finally, we have Neelam Keshuk. Neelam is a second-year MBA student at UNH, and she's an engineer by training and a two-time veteran of Charger Startup Weekend. Welcome, Neelam. Okay, our panel's in place. It's time to meet our first contestant.
Hi, I'm Brandon Vaughn. I'm a senior at the University of New Haven. I'm a computer engineer, and I'm trying to reduce the use of diesel fuel.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Brandon to Pitch Perfect with his idea called Direct Charge. Brandon, you're on the spot. You've got 2 minutes. Go.
Good afternoon, judges. My name is Brandon Vaughn, and my company is Vaughn Industries. At Vaughn Industries, we develop and will eventually commercialize technology that will reduce diesel fuel for trucks. Did you know that in 2016, 437 million metric tons of CO2 was released into the air? To relate this, that is about $92 billion. A standard truck will use about 20,000 gallons of diesel fuel a year. With my device, Direct Charge, we can significantly reduce that amount of diesel fuel. Direct Charge is a device that is attached to the outside of the truck. It harnesses the wind to power the truck while in motion, and it produces clean electrical energy. My target is to reduce consumption by 18%. This will give back companies about $3.6 billion, and also it will help out the environment by reducing the CO2 impact. I'm seeking financial support to further develop my prototype, and I'm also looking for a key personnel to join my team. On top of that, I will be using the money for legal fees, such as patents. I'm also looking for industry contacts so I can expand my testing and eventually bring it to market once it's ready to go. Vaughn Industries is developing products that will better humanity and the environment. I'm Brandon Vaughn, and thank you for your time.
Brandon, thank you. Great work. It looks like you've developed a virtual perpetual motion machine. Very exciting concept. So let's hear from our judges. Ron, why don't you start?
First of all, I think it's a great idea. It's very interesting. I need to know a little bit more about the dynamics of how it sits on the truck, all that sort of stuff, and I'm sure you've got that. I've not, I used to work for the Small Business Administration for a couple of years, and this is an idea I haven't heard of from before. So I think it's a very interesting idea. I think there's two potential markets, not just companies that have truckers. Don't forget the independent truckers. Now, I don't know how complex the model is, how it converts the energy into electricity, and whether that powers the air conditioning or if that's somehow converted into some sort of diesel help. But whatever that machination or mechanism is that converts the energy, the next step, if it's something that somebody could put on their own truck independently and recognize that they're saving 20% of 20,000 gallons a year is 4,000 gallons, and at what is that, close to $4 a gallon? That's a that's a 16K a year that an individual who does this for a living might be able to save. So if you can make something that you could produce for a few thousand or less, a lot of opportunity there.
Great, Ron, thank you. Let's hear from Daryl.
Once again, Brandon, I think wonderful concept. You know, modern day, we know what's going on with society and our environment. And so I think any innovations that can help extend the life of the planet, extend the life of what we do, is going to be met with heavy investment and good support. So I do have a couple questions. I guess, you know, you talk about harnessing the power, taking it directly, but I would think that there's got to be some sort of battery mechanism, some sort of storage mechanism involved also. So I'd love to see some of the future plans, more complete plans of how you're going to interact with it, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, if I'm able to move on to the next round, I'll be able to develop it further and show you what I got.
Great.
Thank you.
All right, Daryl, thank you. Neelam, you're the last judge to weigh in.
So I loved your idea, and I was curious if your idea would work well when it's really windy. What if the weather is not windy? How will the vehicle work during those days? So is there some kind of storage mechanism that the energy will be stored, and when the wind is not there, we could use that energy for the movement of the vehicle?
Yeah, it would be stored in any type of storage system. So it would be like a battery. You can store it in a battery and then use it for later. So when the truck is in motion, it'll just harness that wind while it's in motion, and then it will store it into...
So it's capturing it like a wind tunnel.
Yeah, it's just think of it as a kind of like a one-off of a wind turbine.
Yeah,
Yeah, or a smaller version of a wind turbine.
Cool. Very good idea.
Great.
Thank you.
good idea.
All right, judges, any more questions? No. Thanks, Brandon. We'll see you again in a few minutes. Great job.
Thank you. It's great being
And
here.
all right, let's meet our next contestant.
I'm Ben Klemme. I'm a sophomore with the University of New Haven, and I'm with a group called Spoofers. At the moment, the Bluetooth market is completely insecured, and what we're doing is we're trying to secure this for medical devices so that they can do their job saving lives without risk.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Ben to Pitch Perfect with his idea called Spoofers. Ben, you're on the spot, and you have 2 minutes. Go.
Thank you for having me on here. So I am with Spoofers, Inc. We are working on a problem where the person who pitched the idea to us has a prosthetic leg. They had to have it amputated because of cancer, and at one point at work, they were able to hack into it because it's Bluetooth connected. They didn't actually do anything to it because he's legally not allowed to for various reasons, but the fact that he could concerned him, and he was wondering, what will happen if somebody else does this? We looked into it, and a lot more devices than just the prosthetic leg he has Bluetooth, including things like pacemakers, which my grandmother has. So we're trying to protect people like them. This market has billions of dollars invested in it, in very little protection, and the stuff that is there isn't really stopping anybody. We've found examples of locks using Bluetooth broken into very, very quickly, within 20 seconds. Almost any device that has Bluetooth connectivity can find these devices. So what we're doing is we have a contact who is the only person in the market who does low energy protection cryptography for these kinds of devices, and we're going to provide the infrastructure, training to their people, troubleshooting if it's needed, and design ideas on how to implement it into their own products to protect these devices, give these people a better quality of life, and protect the investment that they're making in it. Thank you for having me on here, judges.
Thank you, Ben. That was great. Who knew? I had no idea that this was going on out there. I remember reading an article about Dick Cheney's pacemaker, that they were concerned that it was a security risk, that somebody could hack into it. So clearly a real and a big problem. So let's have the judges weigh in. Daryl, why don't you start?
Ben, thank you. Great idea. Technology always fascinates me, as well as it's scary, something that we have to deal with, I guess. So I guess the question I have for you, though, is are we talking about an aftermarket add-on to existing Bluetooth apparatus, or are we talking about building it in originally for these prosthetics or so?
So our plan is to go to the manufacturer of this medical equipment and apply it in their facilities, not us going to the people who have them.
Great.
All right. Halim, you're next.
I would like to ask that once you add on that security, do you think that would affect the way it is working right now? Would there be some disruptions there, the way the device is working right now, because it's working with the help of Bluetooth, and if you bring in a security to that, so there would be certain things that has to be limited within the Bluetooth. So do you think the efficiency of the work that the device is doing right now would be reduced?
It's a very good concern. So the solution to that is a part of the security that the person that we'd be working with does is called public-private key, which doesn't restrict what the devices do. It just makes it so that you have to have a certain key to be able to access it. And that key isn't public information to any device unless you have the key already.
And this is a dumb question, but the key is a code, right?
The key is a code
Not
within
like
the
a key.
devices.
You open it up.
It is a code within the
Oh,
devices,
It's a
yes.
skeleton key.
Thank goodness. Thank goodness. All right. Next is Ron, our marketing guru, is gonna weigh in here.
Well, first of all, it's fascinating from a marketing standpoint because, as Daryl said, it's fear, and of course, fortunately or unfortunately, marketers play in fear. So what you can do there is, I can see tremendous amounts of markets, but certainly leading this to whomever is the leader in the technology now, who's doing the high end, I think you'd go to first, or a secondary player that's close behind and needs a strategic advantage. And I think this would become an easy sell if you can get the pricing right. But even if the pricing is significant, people will pay for this. So it is a way for maybe a secondary competitor to come in and say, look, we're more expensive for our medical devices, but you're safe. And so that becomes the key thing. So I urge you to kind of look at potential markets and other things with this, because I know we always get into the technology and we kind of forget that there's still an end consumer, even if that next consumer is a company.
So one of the reasons we're focusing on the medical at the moment is the person we're working with who develops this technology does use it on other Bluetooth devices. They just aren't doing it in the medical field.
Very good. Interesting. So excellent.
And they're also not providing infrastructure to these specific devices specified for them.
There might be government applications or Daryl military applications, because so many veterans are using these devices.
Fascinating. I have one more question for you, Ben.
Okay.
Where'd the name spoofers come from?
So one of the hacking methods to be able to get into this kind of system at the moment is called spoofing.
Ah, okay.
So we kind of did a play on that.
Okay. Great. Well, that's clever, and I think it's a really cool idea. Thank you, Ben. Now, if you will join Brandon off stage, the judges have some work to do.
Thank you for having me.
Well, judges, two very different technology-based ideas. I think both of them are fascinating, so I think you're going to have a little bit of a challenge doing this. But we're going to let you take a couple minutes to deliberate, and we'll find out whether it's Ben or Brandon that moves on.
Sounds to me like Ben's a little further along, at least in the technology ideation.
Right.
But you know, I'm not sure.
But when you think about market potential, though, I mean, you know, I definitely love the medical device, and I think that's going on. But we know that the trucking industry is real. I mean, and it's not just an American thing. We think about international expansion. You know, even some countries that are, you know,
China,
would definitely use that. You know, that savings even more than us for so.
Yeah, if they can make a prototype that works in China. I was just in China a couple years ago. You've been to China. The trucks driving a million miles an hour across the tundra. A lot of opportunities there.
I feel is when it comes to the truck thing, I think it would add something more to the truck, and we don't know if it would be really viable or not. I feel a lot of research needs to be done on that before we think that it is viable. And when it comes to Ben, I think he has already done the research, and the things are already there. What he needs to do is work or bring out a code that would add an extra thing to the Bluetooth device so that it can't be hacked.
Yeah, you got a good point there, and plus the fact that he already has a connection in the industry, in the market. I mean,
yeah.
that definitely is a way in already, whereas Brandon is still
And
working
see, the
on it.
younger person is
And I
already
think,
figuring out that that's easier than our.
So yeah, because he already has someone to invest in him. Ben already has someone to invest in him, and Brandon is still trying to build connections because it would involve a lot of capital. His idea, it would involve a lot of capital. So he needs someone to invest in him, someone to support him.
All right, so I think we have an agreement.
Yeah, I think so.
All right, welcome back, everybody, and welcome back, contestants. The judges have made their decision, and you guys doing okay?
Yeah.
A little nervous in the belly there, but
Yeah.
all right. So we're going to hear from Daryl. Who's going to tell you the judge's decision.
Okay, wow, Brandon, Ben, two great ideas, two great pitches. The neat part that we definitely appreciate and like is that both of those ideas are about helping others and/or the environment. So great job there. However, I think we've come in just a conversation, and in that it appears that Ben's idea at this stage is a little bit more developed. You have some connections already in the industry. You guys have worked on a couple prototypes, so we think that you're ready to move on. Now, Brandon, there's a lot of potential with your idea. I mean, there's a big market out there, both domestically, internationally. So keep moving forward on that. Keep developing some prototypes, and we definitely think you got a future ahead with that also.
Yeah, and we agreed that what you could really use is some kind of drawing or a mock-up or a computer graphic of what this looks like on a truck, because we can all imagine the technology, but until we see it, it just, and that'll help you also because with presenting, because you'll have something you can point to and you can kind of keep your presentation going too, which I think will help you.
All right. Well, congratulations, Ben. You've made it to the next round. Looking forward to seeing your pitch refined and honed for the next episode of Pitch Perfect. Brandon, great job.
Thank you.
The one thing I really like about you is you never give up. You keep working. You keep persisting. So I'm looking forward to seeing you back at another show. All right.
Thank you.
Thanks, Brandon.
Thank you,
And
judges.
thanks, Ben. Well, that's it from the Entrepreneurship and Innovation Center here at the University of New Haven. Thank you for joining us today for this first round of Pitch Perfect, Episode 1, Season 1. Make sure to tune in next time for our next episode. And remember, make it yours, make it real, and keep on pitching.